The United States is globally recognized for its economic prowess and technological advancements. However, a disheartening truth persists. In several states, quality of life has steadily deteriorated over the past 5 decades. As we step into 2024, these states teeter on the edge of collapse. Welcome to our channel, where we delve into diverse global destinations. Be sure to subscribe and click the bell icon for our latest updates. In today's episode, we delve into the 10 states facing potential collapse this year. We explore the complex web of issues: economic instability, natural disasters, inadequate infrastructure, healthcare shortcomings, and political mismanagement that collectively threaten these states. Stay tuned as we uncover the full scope of challenges. Without further ado, let's unveil the list. Number 10. Alaska. Alaska confronts a myriad of challenges jeopardizing its stability and long-term viability. Despite its resilient and self-sufficient image, the state relies heavily on external sources for essential supplies such as food and fuel. This dependency renders Alaska susceptible to disruptions in supply chains, potentially leading to shortages, particularly in remote communities with limited access to resources. The state's once thriving crab fishing industry, a cornerstone of its economy, is in decline due to climate-induced marine heat waves. This environmental impact has inflicted staggering economic losses, estimated at around $300 million, and has disrupted local economies reliant on seafood production. Consequently, fishing-dependent communities are grappling with economic hardship and uncertainty, exacerbated by ongoing struggles to diversify their economies. Alaska also faces severe housing shortages, characterized by exorbitant costs and limited availability. This situation not only exacerbates social inequalities, but also hampers efforts to attract and retain essential workers, crucial for sustaining the state's infrastructure and services. In essence, Alaska's challenges underscore the delicate balance between its rugged independence and the pressing need for sustainable economic diversification and resilience against environmental impacts. Alaska faces profound financial challenges affecting local communities and essential services. The state grapples with significant budget deficits, reaching nearly $1.6 billion in 2021, depleting its reserves and foreshadowing a looming fiscal crisis. These deficits stem largely from Alaska's heavy dependence on oil revenues, which constituted 80% of unrestricted revenues in 2019. With declining oil production and volatile prices, Alaska's fiscal stability remains tenuous, necessitating sustainable economic strategies and reforms in fiscal management. Demographically, Alaska has witnessed a notable population decline, losing 24,000 residents between 2016 and 2020. This demographic shift not only diminishes the state's tax base, but also curtails economic activity and constrains opportunities for growth. Political instability further complicates long-term planning and effective governance, particularly concerning debates over fiscal policies such as the Alaska Permanent Fund dividend. In essence, Alaska confronts interconnected challenges that require careful economic diversification, prudent fiscal policies, and stable governance to navigate its path forward amidst fiscal, demographic, and political pressures. Number 9. California. California faces a complex array of challenges that pose substantial risks to its residents and economy. Chief among these are the persistent threats of earthquakes and floods, exacerbated by its location along the Pacific Ring of Fire and diverse geography. Critical infrastructure, such as dams like the Whittier Narrows Dam and the aging power grid, are particularly vulnerable to seismic activity and heavy rains, which could lead to catastrophic damage and economic losses, estimated at over $6 billion from potential flood damages alone. Financial instability looms large over California's banking sector, exacerbated by recent regulatory changes and the collapse of major banks like Silicon Valley Bank. These developments raise significant concerns about the state's economic stability and its ability to navigate future financial challenges effectively. These developments underscore the fragility of California's financial systems and their vulnerability to shocks that could impact businesses and residents alike. Environmental degradation and climate change present persistent threats, with prolonged droughts exacerbating water shortages. Overuse of groundwater in areas such as the Central Valley has led to critical deficits, threatening agricultural productivity, an essential pillar of California's economy. Simultaneously, rising temperatures contribute to more frequent and severe wildfires, which devastate communities, destroy homes, and strain emergency response efforts. The high cost of living in California compounds these challenges, particularly in densely populated coastal cities like San Francisco and Los Angeles. Skyrocketing housing costs, with average rents exceeding $3,000 per month in major urban centers, exacerbate housing insecurity and homelessness, disproportionately affecting minority communities. In summary, California faces a convergence of issues, environmental, economic, and social, that demand proactive measures to safeguard its communities and ensure sustainable development amidst these formidable challenges. California faces the highest homelessness rates in the nation, exacerbated by significant socioeconomic disparities. High taxes, including the nation's highest income and wealth taxes, are driving businesses and residents to states with lower tax burdens. This trend not only threatens California's revenue base, but also exacerbates economic inequality within the state. Number 8. New York. New York City, a global economic hub and cultural icon, confronts a range of challenges that threaten its resilience and overall well-being. One prominent risk is the potential for food shortages during crises due to the city's dense urban landscape and heavy reliance on external food supplies. This logistical dependency could exacerbate difficulties in distributing essential goods during emergencies, potentially leading to widespread shortages and social unrest. High crime rates also pose a significant concern for New York City. Despite efforts to improve public safety, major crimes have sharply increased in recent years, presenting challenges for law enforcement and public safety agencies, especially during crises. The strain on law enforcement resources could further escalate, impacting the city's ability to maintain order and ensure public safety. Ensuring public security in New York City is compounded by economic instability, as the city's economy heavily relies on sectors such as finance, media, and tourism, which are susceptible to global economic fluctuations and market disruptions. Recent bankruptcies of financial institutions like Republic First Bank underscore vulnerabilities in the financial sector, contributing to uncertainties in the broader economy and impacting businesses and residents alike. Housing costs in New York City are among the highest in the nation, with a significant portion of households burdened by expenses. The median home price exceeds $400,000, placing homeownership out of reach for many residents and exacerbating housing insecurity. High rental costs, particularly in Manhattan and other central areas, further strain household budgets and contribute to socioeconomic disparities. New York's tax burden ranks among the highest in the country, with substantial income and property taxes adding financial pressure on businesses and residents alike. These high taxes, coupled with the overall cost of living, contribute to outmigration trends, with hundreds of thousands leaving the city annually in search of more affordable living conditions elsewhere. Number 7. West Virginia. West Virginia faces a myriad of challenges that profoundly affect its residents and economic outlook. Chief among these is the devastating opioid crisis, which exacts a heavy toll on public health and the economy. The state expends nearly $9.9 billion annually to combat this crisis, addressing healthcare, criminal justice, and lost productivity resulting from drug-related issues. High rates of opioid addiction contribute to poor health indicators, including alarmingly high rates of obesity and heart disease, which further strain the healthcare system and diminish overall public health outcomes in the state. West Virginia grapples with a compendium of challenges that compound its economic prospects and impact its residents deeply. Among these challenges, frequent flooding has been particularly detrimental, with over 1,600 floods occurring between 2010 and 2021, resulting in substantial property damage and loss of life. The state's inadequate infrastructure exacerbates the impact of flooding, limiting its ability to mitigate risks and recover effectively from natural disasters. Additionally, legislative changes that relaxed welfare and vaccination regulations have potentially worsened health and economic issues in the state. The decline of the coal industry has further weakened West Virginia's economy. Historically reliant on coal mining, many communities now face economic decline and job losses as coal mining jobs have diminished over time. These interwoven challenges underscore the complex landscape West Virginia navigates, requiring comprehensive strategies to bolster infrastructure, address economic diversification, and enhance public health and safety measures amidst ongoing adversity. West Virginia faces a landscape of devastation marked by high unemployment rates and limited job opportunities. Over 300,000 residents live in poverty, with 11 counties experiencing chronic poverty, exacerbating socioeconomic disparities and hindering economic growth. Educational attainment in the state lags behind the national average, with only 19.6% of adults holding a bachelor's degree or higher, compared to the national average of 32%. This educational deficit significantly restricts economic opportunities and perpetuates persistent poverty and unemployment. Addressing these multifaceted challenges demands comprehensive strategies that encompass public health interventions, infrastructure improvements, economic diversification, and educational reforms. These efforts are crucial to fostering long-term resilience and prosperity in West Virginia, aiming to uplift communities, enhance workforce readiness, and create sustainable economic growth. Number 6. New Mexico. New Mexico grapples with a complex array of challenges that pose significant threats to its socioeconomic stability and overall well-being. Chief among these challenges is severe poverty, with an alarming 18% poverty rate that highlights widespread financial hardship and economic inequality across the state. High unemployment rates persistently exceed the national average, compounding economic pressures and constraining opportunities for residents. Education outcomes in New Mexico rank among the lowest in the nation, consistently placing last in K-12 education according to national rankings. This educational disadvantage not only hampers future economic growth, but also impedes workforce development, perpetuating cycles of economic disadvantage. Addressing these challenges requires comprehensive strategies that prioritize economic development, education reform, and initiatives to alleviate poverty. By focusing on these areas, New Mexico can strive towards fostering greater economic resilience, improving educational outcomes, and enhancing opportunities for all its residents. In New Mexico, a complex tapestry of challenges threatens socioeconomic stability and overall prosperity. Severe poverty, highlighted by an alarming 18% poverty rate, severely restricts opportunities for social mobility, perpetuating economic inequality across the state. Water scarcity presents a critical environmental challenge exacerbated by prolonged droughts, which strain agricultural production and municipal water supplies. These conditions jeopardize local economies reliant on agriculture and intensify the difficulty of managing water resources sustainably for both urban and rural communities. Infrastructure deficiencies loom large, with New Mexico receiving a subpar C rating from the American Society of Civil Engineers for its infrastructure quality. Aging roads, bridges, and utilities urgently require investment and modernization to support economic growth, public safety, and community resilience. High crime rates further strain communities across New Mexico, with incidents of violent crime consistently exceeding national averages. These issues contribute to social instability, undermine community well-being, and pose significant challenges for law enforcement and the criminal justice system. Before we proceed with discussions on other states, consider subscribing to our channel for more insightful content. Thank you. Number 5. Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico is currently grappling with a range of severe economic challenges that have profoundly affected both its residents and infrastructure. Persistent high unemployment rates, coupled with limited job opportunities, contribute significantly to widespread poverty and economic instability across the island. The economy is burdened by high levels of debt and faces restricted access to financial resources. These challenges are exacerbated by ongoing fiscal uncertainties, making it difficult to attract new investments and businesses. In addition to economic woes, Puerto Rico is also vulnerable to frequent natural disasters, such as hurricanes, earthquakes, and floods. These disasters pose substantial risks to the island's infrastructure and economy, disrupting daily life and impeding long-term economic recovery efforts. Addressing these multifaceted challenges requires comprehensive strategies that prioritize economic revitalization, fiscal stability, infrastructure resilience, and effective disaster preparedness. By focusing on these areas, Puerto Rico can strive to mitigate economic vulnerabilities, enhance living conditions for its residents, and bolster overall resilience in the face of ongoing adversities. Recent events have resulted in significant damage to homes, businesses, and public infrastructure in Puerto Rico, necessitating prolonged recovery periods that hinder long-term economic growth. The island's susceptibility to such disasters underscores the critical importance of robust disaster preparedness and the development of resilient infrastructure. Compounding these challenges are healthcare funding issues, exacerbated by lower Medicaid and Medicare reimbursement rates compared to mainland U.S. standards. This disparity places considerable strain on Puerto Rico's healthcare system, restricting access to essential services and resources. Addressing these pressing issues requires concerted efforts to bolster disaster readiness, enhance infrastructure resilience, and advocate for equitable healthcare funding. By prioritizing these initiatives, Puerto Rico can work towards mitigating vulnerabilities, improving healthcare access, and fostering sustainable economic development despite ongoing challenges. Efforts to sustain healthcare services in Puerto Rico are significantly hindered by budget constraints and administrative inefficiencies, exacerbating healthcare disparities among vulnerable populations. The island faces ongoing challenges in maintaining adequate healthcare resources and access for its residents. Educational challenges have also plagued Puerto Rico, with school closures and operational inefficiencies impacting the quality of education and future opportunities for its youth. Budget cuts and inadequate resources have further widened educational disparities and hindered student achievement across the island. Corruption and inefficient management practices have compounded Puerto Rico's governance issues and economic recovery efforts. Political scandals and mismanagement of public funds have eroded public trust in leadership and hindered effective policymaking and resource allocation. Addressing these systemic challenges is critical for fostering transparency, accountability, and effective governance in Puerto Rico. By prioritizing reforms that promote transparency in public institutions, strengthen accountability mechanisms, and enhance economic resilience, Puerto Rico can navigate its path towards sustainable development and resilience amidst ongoing adversities. Number 4. Louisiana. Louisiana grapples with a myriad of environmental, economic, and social challenges that significantly impact its residents and economic prospects. Hurricanes, intensified by climate change, pose substantial risks to coastal communities, leading to severe property damage, displacement, and disruptions to livelihoods. Coastal erosion, worsened by rising sea levels, further threatens the state's unique ecosystem and infrastructure, heightening vulnerabilities to future storm events. In areas like Cancer Alley, an 85-mile stretch along the Mississippi River, severe pollution from industrial plants exposes residents to toxic chemicals, contributing to health disparities and elevated rates of chronic illnesses. Environmental justice concerns are prominent, as disadvantaged communities bear a disproportionate burden of pollution impacts, exacerbating socioeconomic inequalities and health disparities. Adding to these challenges is a housing insurance crisis in Louisiana, characterized by soaring premiums and limited coverage following repeated hurricanes and floods. Many homeowners struggle to afford adequate insurance, leaving them financially vulnerable to property damage and recovery costs associated with natural disasters. Addressing these complex issues requires comprehensive strategies that prioritize environmental resilience, equitable development, public health initiatives, and economic diversification. By focusing on these areas, Louisiana can work towards fostering sustainable development, enhancing community resilience, and improving the well-being of its residents in the face of ongoing challenges. In Louisiana, economic inequality persists with high poverty rates and significant income disparities that disproportionately impact minority and low-income communities. Despite efforts to attract investment and diversify the economy, structural barriers hinder equitable economic development and perpetuate social disparities across the state. Louisiana's education system also faces substantial challenges, with educational attainment levels below national averages and persistent achievement gaps among student populations. Improving educational outcomes and addressing systemic barriers to success are crucial for preparing Louisiana's youth for future opportunities and enhancing the state's workforce and economic competitiveness. Addressing these issues requires comprehensive strategies that promote equitable economic growth, prioritize educational reforms, and foster inclusive development initiatives. By focusing on these areas, Louisiana can strive towards reducing socioeconomic disparities, enhancing educational opportunities, and bolstering overall economic resilience and competitiveness in the long term. Number 3. Illinois. Illinois is currently grappling with a deepening financial crisis marked by extensive debt and a difficult economic environment. The state's debt-to-GDP ratio is alarmingly high at 122%, the highest in the nation. This underscores significant fiscal vulnerabilities. High property taxes and substantial income tax rates contribute to a taxing environment for both businesses and residents, negatively affecting the state's business climate. Moreover, Illinois faces a declining population trend, with more than 100,000 residents having left in recent years. This population loss reduces tax revenues, strains public services, and exacerbates budget deficits, which could have long-term implications for economic growth and social welfare programs. In addition to economic challenges, Illinois is also contending with a severe opioid epidemic. High addiction rates, overdose deaths, and associated social and economic costs overwhelm healthcare systems and strain public resources. Delivering effective treatment and support services to affected individuals and communities remains a significant challenge amidst these crises. Illinois' governance is hindered by persistent budget impasses and financial mismanagement, exemplified by a 2-year budget standoff that severely strained public finances and eroded confidence in the state's governance capabilities. Underfunding of social services and infrastructure has resulted in declining public services, particularly in critical areas such as education, healthcare, and transportation, which are experiencing significant strains. Furthermore, Illinois faces recurrent severe weather events, including tornadoes and other natural disasters, which exacerbate these challenges by causing extensive property damage, disrupting communities, and overwhelming emergency response capacities. These disasters underscore the critical need for robust disaster preparedness and resilient infrastructure to mitigate their impact effectively. In summary, Illinois confronts a convergence of economic, social, and governance challenges encompassing high debt levels, burdensome tax rates, population decline, an opioid epidemic, budgetary stalemates, underfunded services, and susceptibility to severe weather events. Addressing these multifaceted issues demands strategic reforms, fiscal discipline, and proactive measures to stimulate economic growth, enhance public services, and fortify resilience against future crises. Number 2. New Jersey. New Jersey faces a multitude of economic, social, and public health challenges that significantly affect its residents and economic vitality. The state's substantial unfunded debt, which exceeds 20% of its total personal income, presents considerable fiscal hurdles. This limits New Jersey's ability to finance essential services, infrastructure projects, and emergency responses. Moreover, high taxes, including some of the nation's highest property and sales taxes, further weigh on residents, exacerbating the state's economic challenges. The high cost of living in New Jersey, particularly elevated housing expenses with a median home price around $400,000, significantly impacts affordability for both businesses and individuals. This exacerbates financial pressures and contributes to housing insecurity across the state. New Jersey's healthcare system also confronts significant challenges, marked by poor rankings in maternal mortality rates and overall healthcare outcomes. High healthcare costs and disparities in access to quality care further affect residents' well-being and amplify public health crises, including those related to drug abuse and addiction. Coastal communities in New Jersey face substantial risks from natural disasters, such as hurricanes and flooding. Aging infrastructure and urban development intensify vulnerability to climate-related impacts. Despite efforts to mitigate these risks through coastal restoration projects and infrastructure improvements, ongoing challenges persist due to budget constraints and competing priorities. New Jersey faces a severe opioid epidemic, leading to widespread addiction, overdose deaths, and substantial social and economic consequences. This crisis highlights the critical necessity for comprehensive strategies aimed at combating substance abuse, improving treatment services, and providing support to affected individuals and families. In summary, New Jersey grapples with a range of challenges including high debt levels, burdensome taxes, unaffordable housing, healthcare disparities, vulnerabilities to natural disasters, and public health crises. Addressing these complex issues demands proactive policies, investments in infrastructure and public services, and collaborative efforts to foster economic resilience and enhance the quality of life for all residents. Number 1. Mississippi. Mississippi confronts a variety of challenges that profoundly affect its residents across economic, healthcare, education, and infrastructure sectors. The state grapples with persistent high poverty rates, with nearly 20% of its population living below the poverty line, highlighting widespread financial hardship and economic inequality. Low median income levels further emphasize economic difficulties, restricting opportunities for economic advancement and exacerbating socioeconomic disparities. The healthcare system in Mississippi faces significant shortcomings, including the highest infant mortality rate in the nation and limited access to healthcare services, particularly in rural areas. These deficiencies worsen health disparities, impacting maternal and child health outcomes, and contributing to broader public health challenges across the state. Educational outcomes in Mississippi consistently rank among the lowest in the nation, marked by a significant achievement gap and challenges in K-12 education quality. Low academic performance and graduation rates hinder educational attainment and workforce readiness, perpetuating cycles of poverty and limiting economic growth opportunities for residents. In addition to educational challenges, Mississippi faces a high risk of natural disasters, including hurricanes and floods, which pose substantial threats to public safety, property, and critical infrastructure. Vulnerabilities in infrastructure systems such as roads, bridges, and water systems further amplify risks during severe weather events, underscoring the critical need for resilience and disaster preparedness measures. The challenges faced by Mississippi, including significant racial and economic disparities across income, education, healthcare access, and employment opportunities, highlight systemic barriers that disproportionately affect minority communities. These disparities not only contribute to social inequalities, but also hinder inclusive economic growth and development in the state. Reflecting on these issues, it's clear that addressing systemic challenges and fostering equitable opportunities is crucial for Mississippi's future. Effective policies and initiatives aimed at reducing disparities, improving education and healthcare outcomes, and enhancing economic opportunities are essential steps towards creating a more equitable and prosperous state for all residents. If you found this discussion insightful, feel free to like, share, and subscribe for more content. Your engagement helps raise awareness and support for addressing these critical issues. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.